Meeting will come to order. Please call the roll.
Benjamin? Here. Endries?
Here.
Kasdorf? Glibwitz?
Here.
Morin?
Here.
Is there anyone desiring to be heard? None. Consideration of the minutes, September 3rd, 2024.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
I'll second that.
A motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All in opposition, say nay. Motion passes. At this time, I will do a public hearing for ordinance 24-11, ordinance to amend section 54-358, section 1 and 2 of the Butler Municipal Code regarding industrial conditional uses. Is there anyone that would like to speak at the public hearing about this issue? And we'll add you to you'll be in the next part. All right, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. There was no speakers. New business, ordinance 24-11, ordinance to amend section 54-358, sections 1 and 2 of the Butler Municipal Code regarding industrial conditional uses.
Yes. So Miss Vargas approached me several weeks ago regarding a purchase that she was planning on making. She is in the process of purchasing the Butler Animal Hospital near the park, and kind of in the kitty corner there. And she had questions regarding a business that she wanted to open up there. And the business is oriented around kind of being a way station for pets coming to and from Japan, mainly dealing with military and kind of overseas individuals. Besides the military, was there another type of people that you dealt with?
Could I get you to stand up here, please? Is it on?
Yes.
All right.
So we do deal with mostly military just because that's primarily who would be in Japan. But there's also like Lockheed Martin employees, civilian DoD teachers, things like that. So when people move to Japan, we also do Germany, Hawaii, Puerto Rico. They will come to us because all their plants have failed. So we're kind of their last resort. So if the blood work has been done wrong, the paperwork has been done wrong, they'll say, we need your help. So let's say the animals are in Florida or New York, they have to come here to us because now I have to fix everything. And Chicago is the port of entry and exit that we use. So we do mostly military just because, they have these short notice, you leave next week and now they don't have time to fix their paperwork.
And so basically that's kind of like a quick little, we in the packet, I provided her description of her business, and in the process of her closing on this offer, she wanted to make sure that she could actually conduct her business. So she contacted the village, and I told her that in reality, what the code says is that it needs to be 9,600 square feet minimum to have any type of animal care facility, animal hospital, animal kennel, anything like that. The previous place was an animal hospital, and it was on that same lot with less than 9,600 square feet. The business moved in there in 2003. They should have gone through the conditional use process, and in reality, they should have probably either been denied or had the ordinance changed to accommodate the business. So that's kind of how we got here today. I kind of put it on Sarah saying, hey, if you want this done, you're going to have to provide us with some information and some reasoning as to why the ordinance should be changed, which she provided in the form of a variety of different laws, references to the Kennel Club, it's the CDC's Animal and Plant Health Safety Department, a number of different resources that kind of detailed why having something going down to the size of about 7,000 square feet would still meet and exceed the minimum requirements for the number of animals that she was planning on having there. And I believe that during our discussion, we mentioned maybe about 5 or so. So basically what we're doing today is looking at the ordinance and saying, is the information in front of you sufficient enough to recommend the the zoning code be changed. Again, not just to apply to her business, but into any future businesses in the village that would want to come in here and operate any type of animal kennel, animal hospital, or animal care center. So at this point, I'll kind of have you guys, I'll leave it to you guys to ask any questions. I'll also defer to Sarah if she wants to give a little bit more background and the stuff that she was looking at and some of her reasonings why she believes that the zoning code should be changed. But like I said, I did provide all of that information in the packet.
So it would not be like a doggy daycare with the same dogs there every day.
Correct.
It'd be very short term.
Correct, right, and very separated. We want this to be, so our pets that we, are bringing in are very stressed. The owners are very stressed, the animals are stressed. And so we have done, a boarding facility. We have built a suite in our house for them. But these pets just really need something very intimate, quiet. The boarding facilities is just not, it's just not how they thrive best, especially because, these pets are going into a 13, 15-hour flight. And so to have them like in a barking environment for days, it just really, it doesn't start off on a good note. So what we like is just something just for our pets, very private. The rooms would be about like 6 by 6 or 8 by 8, depending on, the size of the dog. The packets that I sent will show that this lot size, it's actually, the lot size is not the issue. It's the primary enclosure for the pet. So
And look at it.
really quick.
It's 16, what's it, 16.2 for the usages? Yeah.
Right. Let me just pull this up really quick. Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, 16.22.
Okay. Right. So the size of the primary enclosure, and that's where it could be indoor, outdoor. We don't do outdoor because of the quarantine requirements. So the pets that we have will never be engaging with each other. They will not be engaging with other people. They won't be engaging with other animals because they need to be separated. That quarantine period is 180 days and it's very strict. So to go into Japan, we have to be following this. And coming out, Japan is rabies free, so it's not, that big of a deal, but we still follow the same regulations just because that's how we operate. It's always about the safety of the animals, but also their comfort. So for us, according to the state regulations, it is that they have to have a running stride for exercise, and the room has to be just depending on their nose to their rump, and there's different sizes for each room. So it might be 5 by 5 or 4 by 4. We don't do just bare minimum. We want this to be luxury. So there's going to be a TV. There's going to be a bed. That's what we have in our basement right now. And there's only one room because we just don't have enough room in our house to build, 10 suites. But going to Japan, we're allowed 5 spots per flight. So we have a flyer that goes with these animals from Chicago to Tokyo. I do have a Tokyo office as well. So she picks them up from the flyer, who's actually my dad. So he flies over that with the animals. And then she boards them, at a very similar kind of facility. Then they go on to, if it's Okinawa or Iwakuni, there's different places. And then the same coming back. So these animals there's only 5 spots. So our spots are limited. So that's why they're very sought after, and why the care that we provide is high care. We're not, people ask us for a discount, and occasionally we'll give a small discount, but we're not here to, we're not here for the $20 boarding facility type of situation. We charge usually like $150 a night. So it's very high end, and the animals receive the care, according to that price.
I just want to mention that this does and will be different than if you recall, a couple years ago, we had basically a doggy daycare apply. I'm just letting the board know, to 124th and about Villard. And that was a discussion where the dogs would be there during the day, and it was 50 plus dogs a day, I believe, was the discussion.
Correct.
And that one we had denied, but that was a doggy daycare. So this is completely different than a doggy daycare.
We want to actually like be completely away from doggy daycare style. We don't want anything
Right.
like that. So we will be building hopefully like a person suite, not someone that will be living there, but someone that can be there with them. Because a lot of these dogs are having separation anxiety or stress. Some of them don't feel well after the flight. So, we feel like it's really important to have someone with them and have security cameras as well. We would like to have some sort of fenced area. We would like the entire backyard to be fenced, but for the smaller animals to have like an enclosure actually like on the top, so large birds, things like that can come in, because that is, definitely a concern. We do get a lot of those really cute little poodles and chihuahuas. So, and we ship sugar gliders and guinea pigs. You'd be amazed how much people actually love their pets and what they're willing to spend to send them.
Now, will there be a vet at this location 24 hours when the animals are there?
So there will not be a vet on staff, but I am working on getting a traveling vet to come in, because to get the to get the dogs over to Japan and cats and whatever else it is, they have to have a health certificate and they have to have all of their paperwork endorsed by the USDA. So they have to have a USDA certified vet first, sign the paperwork after a physical examination, and then they have to have that paperwork endorsed. So instead of taking these dogs and traveling, we go to Lake Geneva. That's where our vet is. She's been all over Mayfair Animal Hospital and Norwood and all these other places, but I really trust her a lot. She's amazing. So what we're trying to get her to do is actually be a traveling vet for us and come to our facility, keep one of the exam rooms an exam room, because there's everything in there, the table, everything that we can need. And actually have all the examinations done right there, so the animals aren't having to get into the car and drive. And like I said, we have had a few animals that, upon arrival from Tokyo have not felt well. There's been, dogs with vertigo or just really upset tummies, things like that, or need. We do a lot of like sub-Q fluids in their neck, which is, just putting fluid through their skin, so they're not filling their stomachs up and, getting bloat and things like that. So it would be really nice to have the traveling vet come. I think that would just really enhance the, the services that we would offer.
You say you looked at the Norwood building over there?
I did not look at that one. I used, I don't know his last name, Dr. Ben.
Yeah, right.
We've used him a few times just for dogs,
Right.
for the house, but I did not look at that building.
Right. Because that's really chopped up worse than this. So I'm just curious if.
And I would just like to I'll redirect the conversation a little bit just back to this is like the ordinance part, and there will be the second part that after next week when when the board takes it up, whether you guys give a positive or negative recommendation, the board will then decide yay or nay on the ordinance change, and then there'll be the conditional use process that then these questions would probably be a little bit more applicable to. So like right now, this is just kind of dealing with the ordinance in and of itself. I just wanted to be able to give, Sarah put in a lot of research into why she believes that the ordinance should be changed from 9,600 to 7,000, because going back on the ordinance, I could not find any backup as to why the ordinance was set at 9,600. I think there might have been some sort of recommendation at the time, or I couldn't find anything when I looked. It was very difficult for me to go back and try to find where that exact ordinance was passed. And when you find that, you have to then look at the preamble to see why, the reasoning behind it. And I could not find it because it was probably passed back in the 90s. So what I just kind of want the board to really be considering right now is, do we believe that 7,000 square feet for a lot is big enough or adequate enough for the type of business that would be going in there, which would be the animal hospitals, the animal care centers, and the animal motels? Because again, this is affecting not just Sarah's business, but this will then open all the industrial properties in the village up to that are equal to or greater than 7,000 square feet to have this business apply as a conditional use. I just wanted to put that out there, not trying to say that I'm against this or not. I just wanted to reframe the conversation.
Only if we could, under those circumstances, only if we could say how many dogs are on the premises.
And
at
that,
that time.
correct. And the conditional use permit process would allow that. Correct.
Right.
Right. And I think, it's really important just to understand that, I don't know why that has been set, but I can just tell you, according to the state regulations, so there's state and federal. State is much more stringent than federal.
Right.
And USDA, who sets the rules, and I work really closely with the USDA, and she actually wrote a letter in regards to this for you all to read,
Right.
that these are not the state regulations that have been set. So if you guys are willing to change it, then we would be within the state regulations and their rules.
Does the state set a minimum on the
There's
square
not-
footage?
There's not a minimum of the square footage. It's of the actual primary enclosure for each pet.
Right.
And
that
it
was-
has to have some sort of exercise room or area, indoor or outdoor. So the primary enclosure has to be, the square footage that I was talking about, most likely somewhere around that 4x4 or 5x5. So even if someone were to buy a lot like this, it would be very difficult to cram in 60 dogs because you wouldn't be able to build that many
Right.
suites, And the way that people get around this is that they'll say, well, the primary enclosure, they just mince their words a little bit. So their primary enclosure is outside, which is larger, or primary enclosure is this area. So that's how some of these boarding facilities get away with so many dogs. But this primary enclosure will be, according to the state regulations, in the outdoor area because of the quarantine for Japan.
Mhm.
They will never be together. So it's not going to have 5 dogs out there and they don't have adequate space to run. It will always be one, and they will always have running stride, and that's the regulation.
So my question then, Ben, would be, do we need to have square footage at all listed in our new ordinance if we propose it?
I would say that we would want to have some sort of language then if the plan commission wanted to kind of play with the wording there, it would almost be something where you would want to say, have some type of reference to the state statute or state regulations with regards to the square footage of the primary enclosure. I'm guessing that the reasoning may have been that they want to make sure that there is enough space. Again, I don't know if the person who put together the original ordinance did as much digging as Sarah has done on this to kind of look at the regulations. But if we did change anything, I would not want to have it open. I would want to have it more specific as to pertaining to this actual state statute of, it needs to be a minimum of this much per dog for the primary enclosure or something of that sort.
So could we change the ordinance being proposed to just reflect that wording?
Sure. It
Just-
seems like, yeah.
Follow what the state says,
Yeah, if you,
especially since we can't explain why we had 9,600 in there in the first place.
yeah, what I can do is if you would like to make a motion to amend the ordinance, you recommend that the board amend the ordinance because you guys don't have the ability to amend it yourselves to reflect the statutory language, and I believe that you have some of that in your packet that you provided.
I was just looking for it.
I can then provide the board next week with what wording of that ordinance would then look like. And then the board can make a motion, the village board can then make a motion to adopt whatever wording that they so choose.
Okay, that works because I think that might be cleaner. Just because we don't know why the 9,600 was there in the first place.
The 9,600 comes out to a city-sized double lot.
Well, and this being M1, 2, and 3,
Yeah.
it's industrial, so a little bit different
That was
there.
before everything was zoned
Yeah,
differently too.
okay. So tonight, do you want a motion for this to go to village board or?
Whatever recommendation that you would like to send to the village board. So you can give a positive, negative, you can give a neutral recommendation, and then with a caveat or language that says that you would like the village board to consider alternative language.
Okay. Did anyone have any other additional questions for
Yeah.
Sarah?
Well, basically, I want to ask her this ATCP at 1622 that gives you all your indoor dog requirements.
Mhm.
Should, or can we follow that? Are you, would you use that on your outside perimeters?
So
as
we
well?
will not have any outdoor primary enclosure.
Okay, so everything's gonna be indoors.
Everything will be indoor. With the indoor, they have to have the 30 minutes. It's required to have the 30 minutes of exercise time out of that
Correct.
room.
Correct.
Um,
So what I'm trying to ask you is in 1622 here, it says for a dog up to 10 inches, 4.5 square feet. For a dog 11 to 16 inches, 8 square feet. Can we use that verbiage? Would it be, is advisable to use their verbiage because that is the state, I mean, the federal ATCP
Well,
requirements?
the way I would give this recommendation would be to follow the state,
No.
because then if the state changes it, we don't have to change us.
Okay,
We would just keep following the state.
all right.
That's the way I see
Fair
it.
enough with me.
And another thing, if you guys are really against the that doggy daycare type situation, I don't know how the verbiage is, for what you would request for the change, but you could always say you would not allow an outdoor primary enclosure, and that would really cut down on some of the mincing of words of
Well,
that kind of
within,
situation.
for the weather we have here in the wintertime, I would not want to leave an
Right.
animal out, period.
Well, we would follow the
It's a-
state on
That's a
that.
good point, though.
We would follow the state wording on that as well.
Mhm.
Right? Okay. All right. So any other questions? Okay, I would like to make a motion then to go forward with this and amend our ordinance to reflect the state wording or the state statutes for this type of business for conditional uses.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and then that would be going to the full board next week.
Okay.
So a motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
And then that will go to the village board next week.
Okay.
Next Tuesday, I think.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second, does anyone want to second that?
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes. We're adjourned at 5:52. Thank you.
I think it's